Next up, we have a session on inspiring the next generation. And what's going to happen is that we're going to hear from three very different people about how to inspire the next generation and what that involves. First up, let me introduce Teleri Fielden. She is a first-generation farmer in Wales, and she's going to tell you all about what that entails. Thank you.
Well, diolch yn fawr iawn am y croeso. Merci bien pour l'accueil. Thank you very much for the welcome here today. I must say, that's why I popped this photo in. It feels utterly surreal to be here in Brussels wearing a dress with a microphone in front of me. I'm in the middle of lambing at the moment, back on the farm. And up until Sunday night, I probably was more likely to be found with birthing fluids on me as opposed to a microphone. So thank you so much for giving me a lambing holiday, but thank you to those back at home looking after everything for me. So I'm Teleri, I'm 28, and whilst I didn't grow up on a farm, I'm now very honoured to be running a National Trust upland hill farm in Snowdonia National Park. We all know the challenges that face our industry with an ageing workforce and how we struggle to get the younger and new generation into farming. So I just want to share with you some parts of my story and the opportunities I've had and the experiences that I think have helped me break down those barriers as a young, because in farming you're young until you're about 40, which is great, a young female first-time farmer. So the first of my 4 key experiences that I think have helped me break down the barriers are my Nine and Tide, which is my grandparents in Welsh. Whilst I grew up in a large town in North Wales, they were farming in mid Wales up until the age of, I was about 7. And so from a very young age, I had wonderful experience as a farmer. I had exposure to farming. And I think a lot of people who haven't grown up on a farm don't get that experience. And so when I was given a John Deere waistcoat, I very proudly announced to my mum that I was going to be a lady farmer, whatever that means. And the other thing that this gave me was a contact, a way into the industry, which once you're in is incredibly supportive. But at the beginning, it can be quite closed off, and it's hard to know where do you go for work experience, who do you ask? And so by being known through my grandfather, I was known in Mid Wales as Glyn Davis the Gair's granddaughter. And so that gave me a way to get work experience. And much to the surprise of my teachers in the large urban school I went to, I decided to spend my work experience week in GCSE year on a large organic dairy farm. And I was quite a quiet, sort of studious academic student, so I think it probably entertained them, the thought of me milking cows and picking vegetables for a week. But again, this was a really positive early experience. The farmer gave me a wide mix of jobs, and they didn't just give me those, small, hard work jobs. It was a wonderful experience. So I think placements and work experience, if you can get them, are really important and a central point to ask for them. Then I nearly fell off the farming career path, and my interests broadened to include food and environmental policy. I did geography at university and still did some varying different jobs, but linked to the industry. And that's a sort of whole other story. But in what people considered a slightly odd career move, I ended up here. This is the Rhone Alps. And I decided I'd have a change and I'd get some practical farming again. And, sit in the sun and drink wine. How wrong was I? I was out here to do WWOOFing, which is Worldwide Opportunities in Organic Farms. And this ended up being the most formative but hardest year of my life so far. I ended up staying here for over a year in the end, working full-time on the farm. studying a diploma in ecological agriculture. And also, just because I obviously don't like much spare time, I also raced endurance horses. But the main reason this had a real impact on me is this person on the left here, Dr. Mark Kiley-Worthington. They say that you can't be what you can't see. And here was a lady farmer. And she was running the farm. And so she was a great role model for me. Secondly, her background was actually in zoology. And so the ecological agriculture diploma I did that she ran had a very basic grounding in ecology. I think we've been talking this morning, we expect farmers to be the new environmentalists and to achieve things on the ground, quite complicated scientific things on the ground. And yet when I speak to some of my friends who've been to agricultural university or college, that's not what the emphasis is. And so my course had a lot of, we did a lot of soil science, energy budgets, nutrient cycling, and it helps now in the environment that I farm in to understand through that the agri-environment schemes I work under. Thirdly was criticism, sometimes constructive. We're always at the risk of becoming an echo chamber in farming. I follow other farmers on Twitter, we agree with each other, we discuss farming issues amongst ourselves, and yet, because there's so many critiques from the outside in farming, it's easy to become defensive and want to protect each other. Whereas actually, to be able to respond confidently to those arguments, we need to critique ourselves. And Mark would always say, oh, why are you doing that? Why do you think that happens for that reason? Hard to take at the time, looking back, but definitely useful. And then just lastly, what was also empowering was having to work things out for myself practically. I will admit there's certain things that I would end up leaving to a man or that I associated with a man, just DIY or firewood or using a drill. It turns out, ladies, these jobs are all really easy. You just have to do it. So that was really empowering for me, just having to apply yourself. I've still got a lot to learn, but... So then I came home full of enthusiasm about trying, I was going to farm, that's what I was going to do, only to discover that land is incredibly expensive. And so just at the right time, Llyndy Isaf came along. So Llyndy Isaf is a 600-acre hill farm in Snowdonia with an incredible mix of habitats. You can see here, most of the farm to the left of the lake, that's where I farm. So we've got peat bogs, we've got heathland, we've got woodland, you name it, we've got it. It's picturesque, but it's tough. And the annual scholarship was a scheme set up between the National Trust and Wales Young Farmers Club to give a young farmer that first step on the farming ladder. And they saw the value of encouraging young farmers into these environments to protect the heritage, to continue it, produce high-quality meat, and continue to enhance the environment. Obviously, working for a conservation charity, that is at the heart of this farm. So whilst me and the dog live on the farm by ourselves and run it, over the road is Hafod y Llan, another large National Trust in-hand managed farm. So here I've got access to the farm manager, the shepherds, the farm workers, the ecologists, the rangers. And so this wealth of experience and knowledge is on my doorstep, and that's what's really helped me develop this year and stay reasonably sane. It's not always easy being the new kid on the block, and you do feel like you have to prove yourself a lot. And when you're around people that have grown up on a farm and been around it forever, you just feel like you're never going to catch up at times. But I am getting there. And the scholarship also takes away all those barriers of land and trying to finance stock and machinery. So I've just appeared at the farm with my crook, with my dog, and off I go. I get a wage, I get a house, and I know how rare that is for a young farmer to have those luxuries. And then I've also had an extension to the scholarship. So whilst it's been an annual scholarship, we're now trialing a 3-year scholarship, so I've got a bit of continuity. So it's great, so I can trial things out, maybe ride out Brexit, we'll see, and continue to improve and hopefully go on from here to a tenancy, a farm, I don't know what yet. Earthworm Cousin said this morning that we need to that people that are trying to change the system need to understand the system. And I would challenge you all just to ask how many of you have been to farms, worked on farms, spoken to a variety of farmers. I think we really do have to understand the system in order to change it and understand the realities on the ground. So this is why I accepted to have some cameras follow me around on my first year farming at Llandiasav. So not only was I doing things for the first time, I was also doing it with a camera crew following me. So I cringe watching this, but I want just to show you just a short clip from it so that you get a feel for the environment that I'm farming in, the people that I farm with, and also Snowdonia as a whole. It can definitely be tough physically as a small, not particularly strong person, and mentally on the tough day. Hold on, Mama, she's here. But the work's so varied, I love it. Pwysio gwell o gwmpas. Mae'n y gêm mawr iddyn nhw. To be honest, there's nowhere more beautiful than Snowdonia to be farming in. My sheepdog loved watching that. I showed it once and he started jumping up at the screen at the sheep, so that's why he's not here today. My final experience I want to tell you about quickly is the Agri Academy. So the Agri Academy Rural Leadership course is a personal development programme run by RDP-funded Farming Connect in Wales. Farming can undoubtedly be an isolating and lonely job, and I found there to be quite a large social gap between young farmers' clubs, which cut you off at the age of 26, and then the older, within the unions, they tend to be the older generation that engage. And so it's this gap in the middle of people my age. And Agri Academy brought a group of us together. We had intensive sessions where we came to Brussels, actually, to have an insight into policy. And it just gave me an amazing group of friends to bounce ideas off and to feel like you're not alone in this industry. I put in the photo on the left here, just to say that, you know, even if the Cabinet Secretary for Environment, Energy and Rural Affairs is really tall and you're really small, turns out all you have to do is find a step to stand on, which is all I did. I've also had a lot of training and courses throughout the scholarship, and the National Trust have put an emphasis on training me, and that's been really empowering. And I agree, there's a CEJA survey of European young farmers, and it came out tops that education and training opportunities are the main thing. Farming's so varied, we expect so much from farmers, and there's so much to learn that you have to have training, you have to have support. And the personal development program just let me, and the group of us, just hold our heads a little higher as farmers, and not to say, oh, I'm just a farmer. So, to summarize, find work experience, use all the contacts you can, tell everyone that you want to be a farmer, because someone will know a farmer. Keep the ecology and the natural limits of your farm in your mind when you're farming. Be prepared to come out of your comfort zone and be prepared to defend farming a lot. Be prepared to work really, really hard and just keep smiling. So if you have any questions, As I said, I am in the middle of lambing at the moment, so if I don't get back to you straight away, that's why. But please just contact me or come chat to me about ideas later. And of course, you're all welcome to come visit the farm. Please, not during lambing time, but any other time, you're very welcome. Diolch yn fawr, merci.